You are my devotee. That's why Padma Gurudev, in his time, he had a ledger for his followers, his disciples. And Sajjan Sevak, Padmanabha Swami Maharaj, was Harinam disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. So Padma Gurudev did not write his name in his ledger. He wrote Radhanath Brahmachari, or Radhanath Das Adhikari, Srila Maharaj, and then Srila Gurudev. And Sajjan Sevak, Padmanabha Swami Maharaj started to fast. He's very upset. Padma Gurudev didn't put me in his ledger. Why? We want to be in the ledger of Radharani. In her ledger, oh, this Katha is my Sevak. So Sajjan Sevak, Padma Gurudev, when he was fasting for days, Padma Gurudev said, where's Sajjan Sevak? He's not there. He said, Guru Maharaj, you're not accepting me. Oh, Radhanath Dasarikari is there. Sriman Narayan, Gaur Narayan is there. Where am I? Oh, you are a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. I said, no, I'm yours. By your association, I'm with Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. Padma Gurudev gave him Diksha. So this is the mood of Mamata. And the mood of Mamata comes through Seva. That's why Sajjan Sevak had so much Mamata. The mood of Mamata means, like Radharani's mood for Krishna, Madhya Bhav, you are mine. This is the highest. This mood is even higher than I am yours. That is Mamata. I am yours, take care of me. You are mine, I will take care of you. Such a powerful mood. This is Mother Yashoda's mood. That's why she can chastise Krishna and bind him to the grinding mortar successfully, because of her Mamata. You are my Krishna. I cannot let you develop bad character. So we're trying to develop this mood of Mamata for Guru. That means Mamata for Guru's desires. How to please him. That's why I'm stressing the importance of serving the Prakat Dham, the manifest Dham. If we neglect that, we'll never develop qualification to serve the Aprakrita Dham. We must take responsibility to serve Guru. Then we will receive his complete blessing. Achieving his blessings, Sansar hoy sarvanas, Linga bhanga hoy sarvanas. Immediately, all spiritual success is gained. I'll tell one quick story and then conclude 5 minutes. We hear the story of Pranavananda Brahmachari, Bhakti Puri Goswami Maharaj. Famously, he asked, because in the Gaudiya Math time, everyone's chanted 64 rounds and did seva. His seva was publication every day, daily newspaper, weekly, 4 or 5 languages. So he asked Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, what should I do? I'm having difficulty finishing my 64 rounds and all my seva. You know, sometimes when we're just doing a Harinam, it doesn't mean only Samkhya Purvak Nam, Samkhya Purvak Seva. So they had a daily newspaper, Nadia Prakash, for 10 years. Daily newspaper. In those days, in the 20s. It's amazing. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, 5, 6 languages. So people say, oh, publication seva, this is just some kind of duty, some function. We're trying to grow the mission. It's kind of, nowadays people think it's like some kind of grandiose vision for like world conquest. No. This is the dharma of the age, Kirtan. Brihad Mridanga Seva. Mahaprabhu said, Prithiviti Achitata Nagarari Gram Sarvatra Prachar Hoy Vimoranam. This is Mahaprabhu's dictation. This is Mahaprabhu's instruction for us. So we are serving that. So Bhakti Puri Maharaj, at that time, Pramananda Brahmachari, said, what should I do? Less Harinam or less Seva? He said, less sleep. How much do you sleep? 4 hours? Try to sleep 3.5. Or 3. Finish your Harinam. One Brahmachari in the Math, they were so busy. Padma Gurudev, he was from a landowner family, very wealthy family. But when he joined the Math, every day he would go out with the magazines, with a box, with a slot for 1 paisa, 1 penny. And their instruction was only take 1 penny from each person and give them the articles or the magazine or the pamphlets. We're not going to extort people for money. We're going to spread this divine message. Therefore, it's so important. And Padma Gurudev, by his seva, all blessings of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada came. In the afternoon, he was sleeping on the box so he could continue serving in the marketplace in the evening. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, his heart melted for him. There was one brahmachari who, everyone was so busy, so the brahmachari whose service was to take care of the cows, he was so busy out preaching that he forgot one day. And another brahmachari in the mud, at midnight, Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada came out of his bhajan kutir because he heard some sound. And he saw there was this brahmachari cutting grass at midnight and collecting it in bundles. And he said, "What are you doing? It's midnight. Why? This is not the time for this." He very humbly said, "Oh, Guru Maharaj, the other brahmachari whose responsibility is to feed the cows, he was not present. He was all day busy and he came back and went to sleep. But I could not leave the cows hungry, so I came out to feed them." Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada blessed him. "I bless you that you will not take birth again in samsara." Koti janma jadi shravana kirtan, tabus na pai Krishna pade premadhan. You can perform millions of lifetimes of shravana kirtan without gaining the wealth of Krishna prem. Tabu jani aparad prachur, because of many offenses. But why do you wash away those offenses? Guru Seva. Always cultivating that mood. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, with one blessing, that brahmachari was very simply serving, just taking responsibility. Oh, the cows are hungry. Not thinking, oh, these are just some mundane jivas. No, they are in Krishna's ashram. This is Nirgunstan. The temple is a Nirgun place. Transcendental. Serving that is serving Goloka. Jedina grihe bhajana deki grihete Goloka vai. Serving that place is serving the spiritual world, as according to our adhikar now. We are serving in that line according to our adhikar. By serving according to our adhikar, we will go to a higher adhikar. And then we'll be with Radha Krishna forever. So, ends here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Vacha Kalpataru Sarti Vasudevcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Hare Krishna. Padeshi Kumar Gani Bhadiyani Kate Amare Panibhe Rahimo Tomara Dhare Pratipajane Re Ashite Nadivo Rakibo Gatera Pare Bhadiyani Kate Tabani Jajana Prashada Seviya Uchista Jaha Amara Bhojana Parama Anande Pratidhina Have Kaha Sarati Beja Koshiya Shuya Tomar Sharana Chinti Goshata Takami Nachite Nachite Nikate Jaibo Jakona Dhaki Beturi Jakona Daki Beturi Jakona Daki Beturi
Nijera poshana gaduna bahitho rahibo bhavera bhare bakati vinoda tomara palaka boliya varana kore. Sarvasva tomara charane shapiya udeshi tomara gare tumi to takura tomara to pura boliya jana ho more. Sarvasva tomara charane shapiya udeshi tomara gare Tota pura, toya pura, boliya jana ho more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Because that's the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? The beginning of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Well, there we hear the story. What's the story? About how Kamsa was the evil king, but there was a very joyful day, and that joyful day was that his sister was marrying a very great personality in the Yadu dynasty, Vasudev Prabhu. So that wedding was going on, and there was a great procession, and as is the custom, right, the brother of the bride is driving the chariot. So that's Kamsa, he's driving the chariot as his sister Devaki is being taken on procession to her wedding. Or maybe it was after the wedding, I don't remember. Do you remember? Yeah, after. And then she's being driven to the home where she's going to stay with in-laws. Yeah, okay. So this story is the opening of the 10th canto, but prior to that, there's also the story about how on this planet, there is a demigoddess who is actually the predominating deity of the planet Earth, what we call Earth. It's called by different names in the Vedas, Jambudweep and so many other names. So, in that story, the Earth planet deity, she took the form of a cow. She took the form of a cow, and she went to see Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is the supreme demigod in the universe, the creator, and all the demigods and the predominating deities of every planet, they actually can go to see him. They can't go farther than that, but they can go to see him. If there's any irregularity, if there's any problems, they are able to go and lodge their complaint or their request and so forth. So, she took this form, Bhumi Devi. Bhumi is the earth. Actually, that's the name of earth. When you dig into earth, the Sanskrit name of that substance is called Bhumi. Bhumir. Bhumir, Apa, Analo, Vayu. Earth, water, fire, air. These are the elements. So Bhumi Devi took the form of a cow, and she had tears in her eyes, and she approached Brahma. And then she expressed to Brahma, there were many other demigods there as well. And she expressed to Lord Brahma, oh, how much she is feeling overburdened. Because the earth planet is her body. Just as we feel pain and pleasure on our body, so these deities, they feel the pains and the pleasures on their planet, on their body, which is like their body. So she told that she feels very much discomfort and pain because of certain types of personalities proliferating on the surface of the globe, on the surface of the planet. And what type of persons? Demoniac military forces. Kings with so much power and military force. So that was what was taking place actually at the end of the previous Yuga, before this Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. And this was happening by the will of the Lord. Everything that happens is always by the will of the Lord, but there's a reason that he has, what he wants to accomplish. So in this way, Lord Brahma heard that she had this problem, and then Lord Brahma went into meditation, deep meditation and trance. And this was just on what? It was on the shore of an ocean of milk in the upper planetary systems. Lord Brahma has the ability to directly communicate with the Supreme Lord Vishnu in the form of Kiradakshai Vishnu, who is really the regulator of the universe. The universe is really being maintained by him. But the most important aspect of the purpose of the existence of the universe is what? What is the most important purpose that this universe exists for? It exists for the jivas, the living entities, who are here in this conditioned material world, that they can learn the process by which they can become free and liberated from the bondage of birth and death, and they can attain the eternal spiritual world. That process is called Dharma. Dharma. So, that was being disturbed very, very much. And we know that in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself, who was about to descend on this planet, he has told that why does he come? What is the purpose of his coming to this world? Yes, yada yada hi dharmasya. Let's all say the verse together. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrijam yaham. And the next verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Okay, so what's the meaning? The first one, yada yada hi dharmasya.
Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practice
Yes.
and irreligion,
Predominant rise of irreligion.
religion, at that time I define myself.
So he says, yada yada means wherever, whenever and wherever. That means in the entire universe. Whenever and wherever. Dharmasya glani. It means a decline in dharma. Dharmasya glani means a decline in dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya. And adharma, the opposite of dharma, is rising up. It is increasing. Then tadatmanam srijami aham. At that time, I manifest myself. This is the promise of the Supreme Lord. This is actually his, he has accepted this duty. He doesn't have to, he's independent. But he has accepted this as his duty, to maintain dharma in the universe. So, then he says, when I do come, what do? I do primarily two things. Paritranaya sadhunam. Who are sadhus? Sadhus are pious and saintly persons. Persons who are following dharma, persons who are advanced in spiritual consciousness. Sadhus. So paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam. So for the sadhus, he comes to deliver them when they are oppressed by the demoniac forces. Paritranaya means to deliver them, to save them. And vinashaya cha duskritam. Duskrita means those who have no sukriti, those who are demoniac. They are against the glorification of the Supreme Lord. So, what do I do to those persons who are oppressing my devotees? I destroy them. Vinash. Vinash means to destroy them.
Finish.
So, and then he says, Dharma samstapanartaya. I establish, in this way, I re-establish Dharma, samstapana. Samstapana means to establish. So Dharma samstapanartaya. When do I do this? Sambhavami yuge yuge. Yuga after yuga after yuga, every single time period in our universe, every single yuga, the Lord is coming and he's doing this activity. So, Bhumi Devi told Lord Brahma that I'm having this problem. Lord Brahma went into deep meditation and trance, and in his meditation and trance, he directly communicated to Kiradakshai Vishnu, and he received from Kiradakshai Vishnu a direct answer. And what was the answer? Very soon I will descend on the earthly plane. And all of you demigods, you should also descend before me in this dynasty. And at that time, I will perform this function of re-establishing Dharma and annihilating the demoniac forces. So that's the beginning of the 10th canto. Then is the story narrated of the wedding and what happened when the wedding procession was going on. Oh, then there was a voice from the sky. A voice came on this very joyful occasion. There's so many musicians, dancing girls, and infantry, and horses, and chariots. It's a very grand, grand festival. Thousands and lakhs of people are there. And all of a sudden there's a voice. Because in previous yugas, there would be such things. Actually, even sometimes in Kali Yuga. These are called Akashvani. Yeah, Akash means from the sky, right? And Vani means an instruction. So, What did the voice say? The voice said, Kamsa! I think Bhagavat Maharaj can probably do that much better than me.
Even with no mic.
He says, Kamsa, you are a fool! Now that's already an insult. So Kamsa's not happy at all, right? But what he hears next makes him even more unhappy. He says, you're a fool, Kamsa. You're driving the chariot of your sister in her wedding, but you don't know that the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you. Now, that's not something that a person like Kamsa is going to tolerate, because Kamsa is in the process of killing everyone who opposes his supreme rulership. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. I'm not going to get into it. But Kamsa, actually, he was amassing more and more partnerships with so many kings, because he was so powerful that most of the kings, they didn't even try to fight with him. They just submitted. And now he had all these allies, demoniac kings. This is what was going on. The demoniac were increasing in their power. So when he heard this voice from the sky, he didn't hesitate. He didn't hesitate for like a single moment. He's sitting there in front, driving, holding onto the reins of the chariot, and as soon as he heard this voice, he immediately took out his sword, grabbed the hair of his sister, pulled her head back, and was going to slice off her head. This is called demon.
Absolutely.
What the demons are. Demons can kill anyone for their own self-aggrandizement. Krishna describes it clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, does he not? There's a chapter where he completely exposes what is the demoniac nature. Asura Bhav. So, this Kamsa, he had already completely subdued and killed all of his challengers, all of his enemies. And now he's told that his sister is going to give birth to a person that's going to kill him. So immediately, without even a second thought, he immediately begins to finish her off. So then because Vasudev, her new husband, he's a very great Kshatriya, he's also a warrior, but he knows that Kamsa is formidable. So, as the new brother-in-law, he immediately tries to say, oh, Kamsa, just wait. Listen to me for a minute. Yes. So then there's a whole discussion where Vasudev is trying to reason with Kamsa in so many different ways. Why it's not necessary to kill your sister, right? And then in the course of trying to reason with him, he's also explaining to him Atma Gyan, knowledge of the eternal soul, and how the soul is passing from one body to another. He's actually telling him spiritual tattva, truth, reality. Then he's telling him that anyone who takes their birth, eventually they have to die anyway. Why should we be afraid of death? But Kamsa's not really becoming convinced. So finally Vasudeva says, look, it's not the first child of your sister. The voice told the 8th child. So I'm promising to you that as each child is born, I will personally bring them to you. So in this way, Kamsa finally became appeased, put his sword back into the sheath, and continued to drive the chariot. Of course, it was not such a happy event to their joyful wedding occasion. And So in due course of time, Devaki gave birth to the first child. And Vasudeva brought the first child to Kamsa. And Kamsa was very moved by this. He thought, this is not the first child who is going to threaten my life. So there's no need. You can take the child back. So he became slightly affected at that moment by some kind of sympathy and concern for them. But then what happened after that? Who knows? Narada Muni. He came along and he now wanted to, what was his intention, Narada Muni? Yes, to speed up the appearance of the Lord. He wanted it to be speeded up. So then he told to Kamsa, that Kamsa, you heard this voice from the sky, but how can you trust that? Huh? That it's definitely going to be the 8th child. Look, you shouldn't be trusting these voices. Actually, the demigods, they're always tricking, they're always lying. So it could even be the first child or the second, you don't know. So in this way, then after Narada told him like this, then his demoniac ministers and advisors, they all discussed this. And they said, yeah, it's better. It's better that you take every child and kill them as they're born. So then what did Kamsa do? He put Vasudeva and Devaki into prison. He imprisoned them with chains. And this way, they stayed in that condition until 7 children were born. And actually the 7th child was a miscarriage. But each child was brought by Vasudeva to Kamsa. And he killed them. He killed them. So this is the story, this is the background. This is the beginning of the 10th canto. And this is the story of how Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. And it was very much auspicious. So many different auspicious constellations and auspicious omens all on the surface of the earth. When that moment came that the Supreme Lord descended, how did he descend? Through like an ordinary human being? Through the combination of the man and the woman and so forth? No. He descended in the mind, in the heart and the mind of Vasudeva. And Vasudeva, from his mind and heart, was transferred into the mind and heart of Devaki. And then the Supreme Lord appeared in her womb. So when Devaki was pregnant with this supposedly 8th child, because the 7th child didn't show, so there was a little bit of concern. What will this child be? Will it be the 7th child? Will it be the 8th child? So, but when Devaki had the presence of the Lord in her womb, she was shining brightly. She was illuminated. She looked so beautiful. And everyone was wondering, oh, what is this astonishing outward appearance? And Kamsa was waiting. He was waiting, and he was very, very paranoid. And he was constantly thinking about this 8th child. Constantly thinking. So, when that evening came, in the nighttime, at about midnight, at midnight hour, in the prison house of Kamsa, then Devaki gave birth, and the child manifested. But did the child manifest like a baby, like ordinary children are born as babies and so forth? How does the child manifest? 4 arms, Vishnu form, looking extremely beautiful like a young, fresh teenage boy, right? With beautiful curling hair, crowns, ornaments, and standing there in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. He didn't come out in the form of a baby, right? And Vasudeva and Devaki, for lifetimes, they had been the parents of the Lord in previous lives, in different incarnations of the Lord. And they were great, great devotees. But they had the mood of awe and reverence. And when they saw the child come in this form from the womb, and then they began to offer prayers. They offered prayers to the Lord. But then at a certain point in their offering prayers, then they had some Vatsalya mood, some parental affection came into their hearts. And then they had some concern that, Kamsa, if he comes, then he will try to kill you. So then the Lord spoke to them and said, I am going to take the form of a baby, and I want that you will carry me across the river Yamuna. I will make all arrangements that all of your chains will fall off, the guards will be asleep like this. And you carry me there to the house in Gokul, across the river Yamuna. And there, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, now Yashoda, she also gave birth to a child. And I want that you will take me there and you will exchange me with that child. And then you will bring that child back here to the prison and leave me there. So then at that moment, he manifested himself as a little child, and there was a basket. The little child is lying in the basket. And then Vasudeva, chains and everything fell off. The huge prison doors just opened. All the guards, everyone in the palace was fast asleep. Who was making this arrangement? Yogamaya, yes. And then Vasudeva took the child in the basket on his head and proceeded out of the palace through the city to the bank of the Yamuna River. And as he was trying to go across the Yamuna River, what happened? Yes, a storm began. A storm began. But somehow or other, the Yamuna River gave way so that he was able to cross. But as he was crossing, suddenly the baby slipped out into the water of the Yamuna. And immediately Vasudeva again took the baby and put into the basket and proceeded there. There's a deep meaning to this. Gurudev explains all these things in this book. We will tell the meaning later. Then he proceeded on to the village of Gokul. Even today, you can cross from Vrindavan. You can cross the river, the Yamuna River. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauram Pakhi. So now everyone in Gokul was also fast asleep. So when Vasudeva came and traced out where was the house of Mother Yashoda, and when he entered into there, Mother Yashoda was fast asleep. Everyone else was also fast asleep. So Vasudeva was carrying this child in his hands, took out of the basket and carried in his hands. And then when he saw the child, it was a female child. So he didn't think anything of it. And then he took the female child, put it into the basket, and he left the male child there. So then he returned all the way back to the prison house and put his chains back on and everything, and the prison door shut. So now, in the early morning hours, they heard in the palace the crying of a baby. So now, Kamsa immediately just waiting for that moment, and now he stormed there to the prison, entered in, and took the baby. And he took the baby in his hands, and he was going to dash the baby to the stone floor and completely smash the baby to pieces. So evil. But what happened? Did he succeed? Huh? The baby slipped out of his hands and flew up into the sky, and then manifested which form? Durga, with many, many arms. And then again, she told to Kamsa, Kamsa, you're a fool. The child who you are waiting for, he has gone, he is elsewhere. And there is no way that you'll be able to kill him. So after Kamsa heard this, he became very depressed. And he thought, oh, my plan has completely failed. So then Kamsa went back, and then his advisors, they told him, don't worry, we're going to locate this child. We'll just send out all of our military forces, and any baby in this whole region here that has taken birth, they'll just kill all the children. I remember when I was joining the Hare Krishna movement, when I was 18 years, just turning 18 years old. And I saw the Krishna book for the first time. And I started to read, and this story about the birth of Lord Krishna and how Kamsa is trying to kill. And because I had been brought up in Christianity, we had read the Bible every year. In my childhood, I went to a Christian school. And so we knew the story of the birth of Lord Jesus, right? And how Lord Jesus was in a hidden place, right? And then this Herod, this evil King Herod, then he wanted to kill all the children in the area. He did, yes. He sent them out to kill, right? Yeah, and I thought, that's kind of similar. And as I heard other Bhagavatam stories and so forth, then I began to understand, oh, this is some reflection of the original stories, you know. So anyway, now Kamsa became frustrated, but they went on a rampage and they started to kill every child. So now in the meantime, in Gokul, Mother Yashoda woke up in the morning. And when you hear the description from the Ananda Vrindavan Shambhu, I like to read that on every Janmashtami day. And in Nanda Gokul, how now Nanda Maharaj, for the first time, he's waiting outside of the birthing room, and for the first time, he's so eager to see his newborn baby son. Or they didn't know whether it was a son or a daughter. Yeah, because they were asleep, they couldn't remember. And also Mother Yashoda is inside, and the other gopis are also inside. And Mother Yashoda wakes up and sees her little beautiful newborn baby. And there's such a poetic description of how this baby, he looks exactly like he's made of blue sapphire gems, right? And so many poetic descriptions. So Nanda Maharaj also comes and sees his child for the first time, and he's rejoicing, his heart is overflowing. And then there's a grand festival that Nanda Maharaj holds. It's called Nanda Utsav, right? Our Srila Prabhupada is born on that day, yeah? And so this grand festival, he holds, and he gives charity of thousands of cows, gold, jewels, everything, to charity to the Brahmins, and feeds everyone, and it's a huge, gigantic festival. Everybody's rejoicing, everybody's happy. But Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison house of Kamsa, now they're simply being threatened, right? And there's no festival, anything like that. And then, actually, now Kamsa, he becomes a little bit repentant at this point, and he comes in an apologetic mood. Like, oh, I did wrong. I shouldn't have killed your 8 children. Please excuse me. Or your 7 children. Now 6 children. Right. I wanted to kill all of them, but I couldn't. So, but please excuse me. Right. So they actually, Vasudev is like the great exalted Vaishnava personality. They forgive him. They actually forgive him. So, but in course of time, now more news is coming, and they're hearing that there's this child in Gokul. And so, some days, I don't know exactly how many days, but some days after Krishna's birth from the womb of Mother Yashoda, then suddenly one day, there are so many people coming to see this beautiful new child, and then there's this very beautiful, looking like a demigoddess, very beautifully dressed, and everyone becomes entranced by the beauty. And Mother Yashoda even, she becomes impressed. Oh, just see, such an exalted, pure-hearted personality has appeared, and she has the desire to hold the child and to give breast milk, because at that time this was an occupation. What was it called? Datri, nursemaid.
Nursemaid, yeah.
Yes. So everyone just allowed her to enter into the birthing room, and when she saw the child, she looked like, oh, she has so much love and affection for the child. And then she picked up the child. But the child could see what was her intention, because he's Krishna. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has all knowledge. He has descended in this world. But he's in the form of this little tiny baby child. And so, this woman, whose name is really Putana. Everyone say,
Putana.
You know what Putana means? Very not pure, very impure. Puta? Nah. Very impure. So, she came there and had already smeared very, very powerful poison on her breast nipple. And her intention was to poison and kill this child. That was her only aim and concern. And actually, she was a very, very powerful demoness who even Kamsa could not conquer. She had the strength of 10,000 elephants. She was a witch. She was a witch. She was a Rakshashi. And her occupation was to kill children and drink their blood. Yes. Yes. These are what the demons used to do at that time. This is not a myth. There's still a few of them around. They're little tiny ones. They're little tiny ones, but anyway. Yes.
Everyone, Maharaj.
So now, when she held the child, immediately, she didn't waste a moment, immediately she pushed her breast nipple into the baby's mouth, and the little baby clenched onto her breast. But he clenched onto her breast very tightly. And then he began to suck. And he sucked, and suddenly she understood, he's sucking out my life air! She freaked out. And then she tried to pull the baby off of her breast, and she couldn't. Can you imagine? Strength of 10,000 elephants, and she can't even pull a tiny newborn baby off of her breast. So she rushes out of the room, rushes outside into the courtyard, and she's screaming and screaming, "Child, leave me, leave me!" And then what happened? She now lost her ability to keep that form, and she began to manifest her actual form, and she began to rise up into the sky. She was gigantic, huge, like 8 miles long, 8 or 12, I forget the number, 12 miles long. and she was towering into the sky. And the Brajbasis, they started to hear all this. They started to look, and she was screaming and screaming, "Child, leave me, leave me, leave me!" But she couldn't take the child off of her breast. And what happened? All of her lifers were pulled out of her body, and she crashed to the ground.
Yeah.
Now, Mother Yashoda, where is my child? Where is my child? And she came out and looking, and all the Brajbasis came, and they saw this huge, gigantic form. And they began looking, where is the child? And then Mother Yashoda saw on top of, it was like a gigantic hill, like here in Govardhan, like that hill behind right here. Actually, this could be the whole expanse from the creek all the way up to the turning point. And she saw her little baby was just kind of playing there and making baby sounds. And she climbed up onto the hill of the Putana's breast, and she took the child in her arms, and she began to praise, "Oh Lord, oh Narayan, you saved my child." There's a song composed by one of our sannyasi godbrothers with this exact description, Nemi Maharaj. Yes, and he used to play his fiddle, and he would sing this song. Yes, yes. And he adds that scene into the description. Oh, how Krishna is so wonderful. He fills our heart with joy. So, in this way, Krishna's childhood pastimes began to manifest. Now, what does Gurudev say about this? Gurudev is explaining in this book. He says, Sukadev Goswami has said that Krishna was the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. But to whom did he tell this? Who was Sukadev Goswami telling that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki? He was telling this to all the Mathura Vasis. If Shukadev had been in Vrindavan, however, what would he have said? None of the Vrindavan residents would have believed him if he had said that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Why? They had already seen that Krishna had come from the womb of Yashoda. There was an umbilical cord that was cut in their presence. You can go there to Gokul, and it's like it's kind of like a little mini theme park now. And they have the room where the umbilical cord was cut and all of this, So, they witnessed that. So how would they believe Shukadev Goswami or Akrura or Uddhava or anyone else? They would never believe them. If you are a Mathuravasi, then you may maintain the belief that Krishna is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, no harm. But if you want to become a Brajbasi, even if you want to become a Brajbasi creeper, or a Brajbasi bird, or an animal of Vrindavan, then you will have to believe that Krishna is the son of Yashoda, never the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Both of these, they're both true. Actually, both are true according to their own perspective. Srila Shukadev Goswami has explained so many times that the Mathuravasis, they are devotees of very high caliber. Mathuravasis are very high devotees. And the devotees of Vrindavan, they are as well. But who is superior? Who is superior? The Mathuravasis like Uddhava and Akrura, or the Brajbasis like Srimati Radhika, Lalita, Vishaka, Yashoda, and Nanda Baba? Who's superior? Who do you think? The Brajbasis or the Mathuravasis?
Braj.
Any Mathuravasi supporters here? You're not allowed. You'll be banned. So, Gurudev says, the Brijvasis are superior. And therefore we should believe their words. If the Brijvasis say something, we believe their words the most. But sometimes, Mathuravasis, they tell lies. They're not like the Brijvasis. Sometimes the Mathuravasis tell lies. In fact, Krishna himself has said that Mathuravasis are liars. Did you know that? That Krishna said that the Mathuravasis are liars? In the Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna. Who told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita?
Krishna.
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 Yes. Mathuresh Krishna, Dwarkadish Krishna. Is that the son of Mother Yashoda on the battlefield of Kurukshetra who's talking to Arjuna? No, now we get into all the fine points. No. Is it or not? Is that the son of Mother Yashoda who's speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield? No. And driving the chariot of Arjuna? No. There's a difference. So, he says to Arjuna, because Krishna himself has said that the Mathuravasis are liars. So in the Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna, Arjuna, you should promise that I cannot neglect any of my devotees. And I want you to make this promise. Why? Not me. Because if I promise, if I make this promise, it may be that I will change. Because I am a Mathuravasi. But if you make this promise, I will have to keep it. So Krishna will have to keep the promise of his devotee. So in this way, Krishna admits that the Mathuravasis tell lies. Those who say that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, they are liars. Their words are not true. Who or which Krishna fought? Which Krishna fought in the Mahabharata war? It was not Prajendraనంdan Krishna. It was Vasudeva Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. On the other hand, if Yashoda Maya tells Krishna, you are my son, there is no doubt about it. First, you should believe this. It was only for beginners that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj wrote somewhere in his Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna was the son of Vasudeva and he was given to Nanda and Yashoda only for them to support and nourish him as their foster child. Did Prabhupada write that in his Krishna book? Yes, he did. Gurudev even says, and he confronted Prabhupada about that. Later, when Prabhupada came back to India, he said, why have you written that he's the foster child? And Prabhupada was saying, this is for the beginners. You have to educate them gradually, like that. He also what? Oh yeah. So he wrote this in his Srimad Bhagavatam, but this is not true. Is it true that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, the Krishna who is born from the womb of Mother Yashoda? It can never be true. But did a Krishna come from the womb of Vasudeva and Devaki? Yes. So they're both true, but it's not true that Krishna of Vrindavan, the original Krishna, is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Never, never, and never, as Gurudev used to say. And even a fourth never. Never, never, and never, and never. So, you should have firm belief in this. Try to be a Brajbasi. If you are hearing this class, then try to be a Brajbasi. First have this faith, and then you can realize Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the basis. Krishna has so many opulences and all kinds of powers. He especially has 6 kinds of opulences. And when he is in Nanda Baba's house as Brajendra Nandan, he has all opulence and all power, more than he has in Dwarka, more than he has in Mathura. But Brajendra Nandan's opulence and power are covered by very sweet madhurya. Everyone say, very sweet madhurya. Everyone repeat after me. When he is in Nanda Baba's house as Brajendra Nandan,
He is at Nanda Baba's house as Brajendra.
he has all opulences and power,
He has all opulences and power,
more than he has in Dwarka
more than he has in Dwarka
and in Mathura.
and in Mathura.
But
But
Brajendra Nandan's opulence and power
Brajendra's opulence and power
are covered
are covered
by
by
very sweet madhurya.
very sweet madhurya.
So Gurudev is saying only high-class devotees can realize all these truths. Try to have the heart of the Brijvasis. Those who are sleeping in this class, Gurudev now has seen that there is a couple of people who are nodding. Those who are sleeping in these classes, they will not obtain all these understandings. Please try to sit properly, otherwise you will sleep and you will miss my class, and then you will become a Mathuravasi. And then he says, not even a Mathuravasi, you will become a Dwarkavasi or a Vaikunthavasi. So, if you do not hear with attention, it may be that the evils of others will enter your heart and very easily sleep there. Do not be inattentive. So now Gurudev is saying this is the very first understanding. This is the first understanding, that Krishna is Brajendra Nandan. And the second is that Brajendra Nandan, the second understanding is that Brajendra Nandan is very merciful. How merciful? Now Gurudev quotes this verse. Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jagyam sayapayayad apyasadvi lebe gatim datriuchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam brajema. This is from the 3rd canto. And who's speaking it? Uddhava. After Krishna has left the earth planet, Uddhava is wandering. He meets Vidura on the road. And now he begins to remember Krishna and all of his pastimes in Vrindavan. And he concludes all of his descriptions of all the different pastimes of the Lord. And he says, alas, aho bikiyam, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he, who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana. He granted the position of mother, although she was very unchaste and unfaithful, a sadhvi. And she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. But kamva dayalum sharanam brajema. How can I take shelter, sharanam, of anyone other than this person who did this? How merciful he is, that even a witch, a demoness who came to kill him, he granted her a position of an eternal nursemaid in Goloka Vrindavan. Huh? How merciful is this personality? So, Gurudev is saying the first understanding is that Krishna is Brajendra Nandan. That's what everyone has to learn and understand. He is the son of who? Nanda Maharaj. And the second thing He is very, very merciful. So when Krishna was about 2.5 or 3 years old in Gokul, he performed many beautiful pastimes. Once, Kamsa sent a demon named Shakatasur. What's his name?
Shakata Asur.
Kamsa sent a demon to kill him. Kamsa had a lot of demon friends. Yes, and they had mystic powers. So one by one, he sent them, and one by one, they never returned. So this demon, Shakatasura, he thought, I am so intelligent. I will not go there in a particular form. I'll not even take a form and shape. Oh, I will go there as air. So very intelligent. So he entered a bullock cart, and he wanted to push the cart down onto Krishna, who was lying underneath it. Krishna's just lying there with his little arms and legs. He's lying on his back. And this demon enters into the cart. And now he wants to collapse the cart on this little baby, the demon. And he wanted to crush the baby. So, but Krishna, he's not an ordinary boy. He playfully touched Shakatasura with what? His toenails. Not even his whole toe. Just with his toenails, right? And the demon was killed at once. So what is the meaning behind this pastime? You know that Krishna's pastimes, they all have very great purports and meanings behind them. And each demon that Krishna kills also represents a particular what? Anartha. Yes. And if you meditate on those pastimes of Krishna, your anarthas will be destroyed. So, what is the meaning behind this pastime? If a person is very learned, if he has read the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the Vedas, he's read the Upanishads, all the other scriptures, but he's very, very learned, he may still be like a demon. Yes, he may still be. Even he's learned, even he's read, and even the Bhagavatam says he may still be a demon. Like a demon, Gurudev is saying. And how will we know that he is still like a demon? If he does not serve Krishna with love and affection. Even though learned. They are very expert in quoting the scriptures. Oh, they can explain so many meanings of the Srimad Bhagavatam, these persons. And when they speak, then all are charmed. But ultimately they say, we are that same Brahma. What is Brahma? The impersonal absolute. And ultimately, they are impersonalists and Mayavadis. But they're very scholarly. They know, they quote. So, they are all of these persons, and this is the meaning of this pastime, they are like Shakatasura. And therefore, Krishna kills them by any trick, and he purifies their hearts. That's the thing about getting killed by Krishna. When you get killed by Krishna, it's not like being killed by anybody else. But that benefits you. If you're killed by Krishna, your heart becomes purified. And you become liberated. And depending upon your relationship with Krishna, then you attain a certain particular destination. So in this way, Krishna kills them by any trick and purifies their heart. So we must be careful to not be like them. Gaur Premanande. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Oh, all glories to our beloved Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Srila Gurudev's Transcendental Harikatha Festival 2021 ki jai. And all the devotees who've come to New Braj ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Vansha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhuve vacha patitanam Vaishnavebhyo namo. Oh, got it. Yeah, right. Okay.